have to earn that after the fact. That's harder. Thank you for that warm introduction and welcome. I have to clarify one or two items on that introduction, however, in my resume. The asteroid that is named after me is not headed towards Earth. Right? Before I agreed to receive that asteroid in my name, I double-checked that. You don't want the one rendering the human species extinct to have your name on it. Also, the People magazine distinction. Consider the category, right? What does that mean? Sexiest astrophysicist. Who did I beat out? You know, I don't know. Stephen Hawking? I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know. So I don't get big-headed about that. That's all I'm telling you. So I found out, like, my slides are way far away from me. So, oh, and I just realized something. I have a not exactly legal laser that can totally point it out. I have to switch around the battery so that it doesn't accidentally turn on in my case. Because the TSA folks are freaked out about enough stuff. Is that it? Yeah. There we go. Yeah, okay. Let's get started, shall we? The title, the advertised title, Science as a Way of Knowing, is related to the actual title. The actual title is what the world looks like to an astrophysicist. Because the world is not just have a place with things in it. It's an interplay of forces and motion, energy. And when you understand how nature works, you get to notice things that are just, I'll get there. So often talks such as this are like loosely veiled commercials for a book the speaker's trying to sell to you. And it's, oh, what happened? What is that? I don't know what that is.
It's a wave.
There we go. It was a wave, yeah. Let's try that again. All right, there we go. Oh, that is the latest color image of a black hole right there. It's full color. Just if you're wondering. Let's try that. There we go. No? Excuse me. Let's try this again. Ready? Yes. So what I'm saying, so I'm saying talks such as this are often just a commercial for books, and my talk is no exception to that. No, actually, what's in this talk is not in any book. I don't like giving book talks because you could just read the book and I could stay home. So if I'm here in person, I want to talk to you about stuff that doesn't appear in anything I've written, by and large. So, just so you know, and there's things I could talk about, but I'm not, because that's not the topic, right? We can talk about the search for planets, the demotion of Pluto from planet status, get over it. There's a lot of cool stuff in the universe. And killer asteroid, well, maybe I'll mention killer asteroids if there's time, because there's one headed straight towards Earth. And if there's time, maybe we'll talk about that. But what I'm really here to talk to you
he's
about
outdated.
is profound science illiteracy. And this is going to be I'm just going to do a brain dump on you, okay? Have you ever been brain dumped on before? This may be your first time, all right? Oh, you've seen it? Yes. Okay. Here we go. Profound science illiteracy. Where shall we start? Oh, UFO sightings, okay. What does the U stand for in that? Unidentified. If you don't know what it is, it means you don't know what it is. End of sentence. You don't say, oh, I saw a UFO. I think it's a spaceship from outer space with aliens. You just said you don't know what it is. Stop there. Okay? The light is moving and you don't know why. It's a mystery. That doesn't mean it's intelligent aliens visiting from another planet spying on you. Admit that you don't know what you're looking at. Period. I've seen stuff that without my extensive knowledge of atmospherics, of sky phenomena, of sunset effects, if I didn't have that base of knowledge, I'd call it a UFO too. But for me, they're IFOs. And here's what happens. You get people bringing forth witnesses. I have a witness. It's a pilot. It's somebody with a badge. Somebody with chevrons on. Are they human? Yes. So they're susceptible to the same misinterpretation of data as are the rest of us. Okay? And so, you know what I want? If you find a UFO, bring the alien back, okay? Just go on there and get yourself abducted, okay? And while they're poking you on the slab, usually your gonads, we're told, right? While they're doing this, distract them. Say, look over there! And then like steal the ashtray off the shelf or something. Put it in your pocket, and then when they release you, you've got something you can put on the lab. I stole this off that ship, check it out. Because if that spaceship came from another galaxy or another planet, anything on their shelf is going to be interesting. Anything, right? And we will be able to determine if it is of alien manufacture. So that's your instructions the next time you're abducted. We will learn a little later about the weakness of eyewitness testimony, something that is held very high in the court of law. There's always, I need a witness. Oh, we produced a witness. Do you know eyewitness testimony in science is the lowest form of evidence you could possibly bring to the table? There is no lower form of evidence. In fact, we don't even accept it. We'll listen to you just to shut you up, but what we really need is tangible evidence that didn't go through your brain, your interpretive faculties. Why do you think we have books called optical illusions? Those books shouldn't be called optical illusions. Those books should be called brain failures, because that's what they are. But our hubris, isn't that a great word, hubris? Our urge to think highly of ourselves, undeservedly, that urge prevents us from naming those books what they are. They're brain failures. Simple brain failures. Oh, is it in the page or out of the page? Is one line longer than the other? Is it a face? Is it a vase? I don't know. Oh my God. And it works basically on everyone. Yet somehow we can testify and have someone put to death because of our testimony. That's some scary stuff. That's scary to me. So bring me an alien or bring me their ashtray. Now, here's a book that I actually bought. I'll read it. How to Defend Yourself Against Alien Abduction. So we live in a world, in a country where someone can write such a book, sell it to a publisher, that book can get published, put on display on the shelves, and people can buy it, as I did. I read that, I heeded this book's advice. That's why I'm here now. Okay? Don't drive alone on a farm road at night. You know what I don't like? Inept aliens. Every few years, someone claims that there's a crashed flying saucer. I don't want to meet those aliens. If you cross the galaxy and you crash your ship, what kind of pilot are you? Give me the aliens who like hovered, okay? Who knew how to hang out and not crash. I don't need the dummy aliens, all right? And who remembers the movie, the Third Kind movie? Close Encounters of the Third Kind? But it's from a long time ago. It's probably Netflixable. Just check it out. It's an interesting film. What I couldn't get about it was we finally arranged to meet the aliens, okay? The authorities figured out where they're gonna land, and we get all set up for them. Now they came here in a flying saucer, okay? We know that. And so what do we do as humans? We set up runway lights for it. And I'm thinking, if you cross space in a flying saucer, you don't need runway lights. Do helicopters need runway lights? No. Neither do flying saucers. They don't glide in off of that. They just come wherever they are. They should have put down a bullseye or something. I want smart aliens. Those are the ones I want to talk to. And I want conspiracy theories. There's conspiracy theories about everything. Anything you don't want to be true, there's a conspiracy theorist saying it is true. And so you say, well, how do you know? Well, because look at this evidence. Okay, that's good. And look at this evidence. And look at that evidence. So they present you evidence. This is true in every case of a conspiracy theorist. Here's the evidence. And don't forget this. And look at that. And I say, well, okay, how about this evidence here that connects these? Oh, that's a cover-up. That's a government cover-up. They're hiding this evidence from me. And if they weren't, then all this would make complete sense. So in every conspiracy theory, they are telling you that they already know what has to be true, and where there's a gap in the data, it's a government secret. It's a conspiracy. Thousands of people are keeping a secret. No, we didn't go to the moon. 10,000 scientists and engineers are keeping a secret to this day. And they created millions of engineering drawings of a spaceship that never flew. Do you realize how much effort that takes? It's easier just to go to the damn moon. I mean, plus, if you knew a little bit of physics, you can calculate how much fuel was in the Saturn V rocket. Calculate it. Do that, do the math, and it's enough to get to the moon and back. It's the right amount. So, where do you think they were going? To like the Whole Foods down the street? They're going to the moon, people. Started here. Astrology. Oh, there's one. People, astrologers, those who believe the universe influenced us and your life, your love life and your financial life, that the universe cares about your love life and your financial life. Those who cared about kept good records of the sky because they were sure planets were doing stuff to us. And that basically formed a database that birthed what would become modern astronomy. So astronomy as a science is like, it's like the world's oldest, the second oldest profession in the world. The study of the universe. But so you would have thought astronomy would just replace astrology and there'd be no more astrologers. But they're still with us today. They're taking advantage of your urge to want the universe to be in control of your life. That's what's happening there. But just do an experiment. I invite you to do an experiment. Find a horoscope corresponding to yourself or to some month of the calendar year, of the horoscope year. Just find one. Rather than go to the horoscope that you know is yours, pick one at random and read it to an audience. Okay? I couldn't find one, but I would have done that experiment now, but you can do it when you have the chance. Pick one at random and read it to a huge audience and say, whose horoscope did I just read? Half the hands will go up. Half the hands. I've done that experiment every time. Half the hands go up. Half of you think that this horoscope that I just read, for that 1 month of birth interval, you think it applies to you. That's because they're brilliantly written to apply to you. I did the experiment. Most of the people who said it applied to them, it didn't. And some embarrassing percent of those who were sure it wasn't theirs, it was theirs. That's the inversion of that experiment. So rather than go to the one, read it, and not read anybody else's, you read yours, hey, that's me. So are the other 11, okay? So this is the part of the data you're missing, all right? The susceptibility of our urge to believe is extraordinary. We want to believe that there are people who can read our minds, who know stuff, okay? Now, there are people who are really sensitive to your moods and emotions. There's a whole spectrum. From those who have a hard time reading human emotion, to those who are just with you at every turn, at every... I got that. And the people at the extreme, they would make good psychologists. They would understand you. But if they don't know that they're at the extreme, you can invent, say, I'm psychic. No, you just read people very well. And before we even understood that, you know, the palm readers, they read your palm and say, oh, you're a hard-working person. Well, the hands are calloused because they work on the railroad, right? That's why they look at your hands, right? They don't look at your shoulder. They don't look at your elbow. You know, they look at your hands. Your hands tell you what you do. So here's my question. How come you have never seen a news story that said, psychic wins the lottery? I'm just saying. You'd think they'd have access to that information at some point in time. So I'm waiting for the psychics to acquire all the world's wealth. Then I'll have a conversation with them about their powers. Until then, I remain skeptical. Here's another one. Here's an interesting one. This, I blame the American Medical Association. Are there any medical doctors here in the audience? There's one right here. Two right here. Only two? Okay, I hope I stay healthy for this talk. There's only 2 doctors here. We've got 9,000 people. There's a doctor in the house. There's 1 and 2 doctors right here for all of us. Isn't there a huge hospital complex up the road? So where are the rest of the doctors? I mean, I'm upset. Okay, you will be the brunt of this entire next few moments, all right? So, someone is ill, they go to you for diagnosis. And you say, looks like you have cancer. All right, doc, how long do I have? 6 months. Something like that. This is obviously it's a contrived conversation, but it's plausible. Okay? I say, well, I want a second opinion. And the doctor says, sure. And I find another doctor. You got 5 months. I want a third opinion. I go to a third doctor says, you got 7 months. Okay? So it sounds like I got a half a year left. That's kind of what it sounds like. I got to get my life in order. But instead, I'm a religious person, and so I pray. I pray for my own health. I get members of my parish to pray with me for my health. 6 months go by, I'm still pretty healthy. 8 months go by, cancer's in remission. A year goes by, there's no trace of it. And after 2 years, I'm in great health and I'm still alive 5 years later, not a trace. Okay, so here's what's interesting to me. That person will likely credit prayer as the source of their being cured. And you can ask, what must that mean if they're crediting prayer and the intervention of a divine force to cure them? What must that mean? It must mean that that person is incapable of recognizing the possibility that they were diagnosed by 3 idiot doctors. That wasn't one of the possibilities. But it ought to be. It's one of the possibilities. Not that they're 3 idiot doctors necessarily. Doctors are highly trained people. But they're all trained, particularly in the same country, in the same way. The medical schools are basically the same. They have the same books. They have similar cadavers they're cutting open. So they all have the same way of thinking about a problem. So to get 3 diagnoses that are about the same, and they all turn out to be wrong, I find it curious that you're more likely to think that they were correct. So that the power of the doctor is that high over our minds. It is so high that we are more likely to credit the creator of the universe in our cure than to blame you for a false diagnosis. I find that extraordinary. What a powerful organization the American Medical Association is. How powerful you are. No one could think you were in error in that diagnosis. What do you have to say about it? And we get less of this here in the West, but you've heard about Swami levitation. You know, they sit, you know, they do this thing. If I could levitate, I'd do both legs at the same time, but just sort of imagine that. And they're just floating there, violating every known law of physics. So either they have special powers where the laws of physics don't apply to them, yet apply to planets, stars, moons, galaxies, and across the universe, or there's some kind of chicanery going on. Here's some images. Yeah, I mean, so, okay. Now it turns out it is possible to float that way. Laws of physics, it turns out, can enable you to float that way, briefly. But you need the help I'm just saying. When you know how nature works, you get to think this through. And it also requires a very tight sphincter so that high pressure can build up and then expel through the bottom and then float. But I actually found, so Swami levitation is possible by the laws of physics if beans are involved. And I found this is a floating can of beans itself. That was like, combines them both in one. Just a couple of months ago, we had the harvest moon. Very beautiful. Well, I like all full moons. You know what the harvest moon is? I'll tell you exactly what it is. The full moon that falls nearest the fall equinox. So the fall equinox is third week of September. The full moon can be nearest to it just before or just after. That's the harvest moon. It's around harvest time in late September, early October, and you can harvest into the night because the moon rises at sunset and sets at sunrise, just as every full moon does. In fact, there's nothing special about the harvest moon other than that people wrote songs about it. And so now everybody thinks there's something cosmically magical about the harvest moon. There are 13 full moons in a year. That's just one of them. Okay? That's when the harvest moon was this year. And all the moons have names. They're just not as romantically sounding. Right? They all have names. There they go. There's a snow moon, the wolf moon, the hunger moon, the honey moon, yes. The thunder moon, the sap moon, frosty moon, hunter's moon, flower moon, grass moon, Yule